Well, wouldn't you know it, we are back on subwoofers once again. We're going to have to start making a subwoofer so we can profit off of this. My viewers know and my readers know that subwoofers are a big deal to me. Subwoofers bring the foundation of music and the realism that footfalls, traffic rumbling, air conditioning units, all the things that our ears hear that we don't necessarily pay attention to, but they are cues that we are in a real space. And systems that don't have the ability to go to those low depths of frequency, and almost none do, require a subwoofer. If you're interested in having a realistic sound field in your home, something that interests me a lot. Not everybody wants that. So for those of us that do, subwoofers are necessary to get there. And this is sort of a long-winded question from Martin in Vermont. He says, Paul, I like your channel. Thank you very much. I've been a stereo music lover all my life, and I'll be 61 in a few days. Happy birthday, Martin. I have a small system, which is a Bob Carver classic vacuum tube preamp. Nice. Matching amp system from Bob Carver. And I have a project turntable using your older GCPH, which I had rebuilt at your company. I'm using a pair of KEF LS50 speakers and a Rotel 1072 CD player. Okay, got that out of the way. For some time, I've wanted to add subs to the system and have tried a totem sub, but was not happy with the results because I couldn't get a feedback sound to go away at low volume. I don't know what that means. A hum or a buzz, maybe? I enjoy classical, jazz, rock, and most music. So with all that, is my system worth putting a set of subs on? Thanks for your time, Martin. Yes. Doggone it, Martin. Yes. Absolutely. So the totem didn't work. I don't know much about totems. There are only a few subwoofers that I respect. REL, R-E-L, is one. JL subs. What's the other? Oh heavens, I don't quite remember it. But you can email me and I can make some recommendations if you want. But there are certainly good subs around, and there are reams of bad subs that are designed for home theater and have no place in an audio system. So the problem I have is that, we tend to have a bad experience with something. Let's say I ate a Jonah Gold apple, and I didn't like it. Now I don't like all Jonah Gold apples. Well, that's kind of silly, because maybe that was a bad one, or maybe I tried this or that piece of food or this or that drink, and we tend to make sweeping changes based on our experiences, and I think that's a mistake, and it certainly is with subwoofers. Subwoofers have gotten bad raps because of home theater and because of crappy subwoofers. The first subwoofer I ever had was years ago when I had a set of electrostats called acoustats. And these acoustats were very tall, electrostatic, thin panel speakers that were in my living room. And part of the problem with electrostats is they don't have any bass. They try. And there are a few, but we're talking like these big, what are those? The Roger West speakers. The name escapes me, but they are hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're huge, so let's ignore those. Typically, electrostats do not have bass, and that's why you'll see Martin Logan's and others that have bass modules with conventional drivers built in. And the reason they don't is because they're big sheets of plastic between stators that have high voltage, and this plastic can't move very far. So you need a lot of surface area in order to move a lot of air, which is what's required for bass. So they have subwoofers built in. They're usually not very good, and they don't go very low. And the best position for a subwoofer is typically not where you have your speaker, unless you've done some good tricks to get there. That said, the problem we have is setting up that sub and making a judgment about that sub based on a few bad experiences. And doggone it, what was I talking? Oh, I remember. Sorry, I got carried away. I was talking about the electrostats. So in my house, I had these acoustat electrostats, and they had no bass and no dynamics. And you had to have your head in the vise to listen to them. All right, so much for getting distracted. So at the time, there were very few separate subwoofers out there. I mean, really few. And there was a company called M&K, Miller Kreisel, Ken Kreisel and Jonas Miller. Jonas Miller was a dealer out in Los Angeles, and Ken, I think he ran a recording studio. Anyway, they had a line of speakers, and they actually made like subsat systems. They were pairs of small satellite speakers with a subwoofer. So I bought one of their subwoofers, and I set it up. I set it next to my chair, figured that would be a good place for it, wired it up, cranked that sucker up, and man, those speakers had bass. I was doing great for about an hour. And after about an hour, I started noticing this classic symptom that we have with subwoofers. I could hear the sub. So I would play an orchestral piece, and there would be something going on, and then boom, 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 off to the side, where my subwoofer was. So I futzed around with moving it. I put it, in the center. I put it to the left. I put it to the right of the loudspeakers, figuring the closer it is to the speaker, the less likely I'm going to hear the sub. Because I didn't want to hear the sub. What I wanted was more bass on my speakers. I didn't have any. And I finally, after, a couple of days, I kept turning the volume down, and moving it and all that, and finally got it to where it sounded perfect. And I went back and I thought, let me record what that level is, and it turned out the level was 0. No amount of level on that stupid subwoofer would match, and I fooled around with the crossover and all that, but that was years ago. And that was a crappy sub, and they exist. Most of them are no good. So we can't judge an entire category of speaker based on a few poor experiences with bad subwoofers. Now, I don't know anything about totems. I don't know if they're good or bad, whether you had a setup problem or what. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Subs matter. Get it right. Go get yourself a rel. Go get yourself something that you trust. Put it in. Have somebody help you set it up so you don't hear the sub, but your speakers suddenly have bass, and you will have a world of realism that you have never heard before in your stereo system. It really is worth it. Trust me on this. Please. It works. Thanks. Bye.